All right. So welcome to Lucky, 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 and the mask, 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 mask. Yo, I'm Lucky.
On the mask.
He's that he misses Q. Speaking of Q's, what's up, my good brother? I have Dr. Shafeeq Ameen on the phone. What's up, team?
What's up? What's up?
Okay, all right. So Eddie and I went to HU, the real HU, Hampton University. All right, when it was HIU. And what HBCU did you attend, Doc?
I attended two. I have my undergraduate degree from Virginia State University, and I have a master's degree from Norfolk State.
Boo. Okay. So you mess with the Trojans and the what is that? Behold the green and mold, something like that.
Oh, that's a low blow.
Oh,
come on! You know we went to Hampton University. We're black and bougie.
Yeah, that's true. And you know what?
I hear you.
I think we actually did say "Behold the green and mold" once or twice. I think we did. We did. We did it in the show.
We did in the show. Yeah.
Wow.
And the show he's talking about, we're in the marching band, so we went against what's Norfolk State's band called? The Spartan Legion?
Yeah.
The Fartin Legion. We called it the Fartin Legion.
Ooh. Wow.
This was back in the day when you could actually say stuff that was just really out of control. Like we talked about Virginia State and their Trojan broke. They had to go see the doctor. Yeah, that was bad.
Okay.
He's just soaking this all in. He's gonna get back at us. All right, that's okay.
That's right. I'm listening. I'm writing it down.
All right. Well, Doc, tell us a little bit about yourself, man, and we'll get to the book as well.
Sure. I grew up and was raised in Philadelphia. Spent the first 17 years of my life there. Relocated to Virginia when I went to Virginia State in Petersburg, Virginia. Stayed a little longer, got married, went to Norfolk State, Regent, and then 2010, I received my doctorate from Virginia Tech. I've been in education for the last 27 years in elementary, secondary, some middle school, and currently I'm an administrator at Oscar Smith High School in Chesapeake. And I teach online education courses at Virginia Wesleyan and at Norfolk State.
Wow. Okay, I'm impressed. I don't know about you, Ed.
Oh, no, I'm good.
You good? Okay.
Well, you know what? We have some things in common because Dr. Ameen is an administrator. Ed, you were just hired in an administrative position.
Correct.
Salute that. All right.
Uh-oh.
All right. And I'm an aspiring administrator, so I haven't gotten the bag yet. The principalship. I have not achieved the principalship as of yet. Yo, so Philadelphia, huh?
Yes, sir.
What's Philly like, man? What was Philly like back in the day?
Well, it was so dangerous to have me to leave Philly and come to Virginia. But the atmosphere is beautiful, especially for African Americans. I just came back from a conference that I had in Philly about 2 weeks ago, and it's just about anything that you could think of progressive for African Americans as it relates to education, to religion, to social activity takes place in Philly, and they run with it. I had a beautiful experience there.
Okay. Interesting.
I can concur because I always have a good time in Philadelphia, and I always enjoy myself. It's always a wonderful time.
There you go.
It is.
All right, cool. So I'm looking at your LinkedIn page, adjunct professor at NSU, Virginia Wesleyan, Virginia Tech. Wow, that's big, man. That's big. But you wrote a book about going to a HBCU. What was that about?
Well, well, I guess I can step back a little. When I went to Virginia State, leaving high school in Philadelphia, I wasn't a great student at all. In the book, it details that I was only accepted to two colleges. Both of them were HBCUs. I was accepted at Voorhees College in Denmark, South Carolina, and Virginia State. I was a typical underachieving African American young man who needed structure, and Virginia State provided that and more. The HBU experience took me from a boy to a man. I wouldn't have received my doctorate or my master's degrees if it wasn't for the foundation that was instilled in me at Virginia State. And one thing that I promised myself after I received my doctorate was that I was going to write a book about my experiences at Virginia State, and just how much that meant to me, especially since I speak to a lot of HBCU grads, and my story is very similar to theirs in terms of not just the love, but the absolute loyalty that they have to their colleges and universities, and I just wanted to give back.
Interesting. Why'd you call it the Odyssey?
Because that's exactly what it was. If you know anything about the Odyssey itself, the tragic novel, in that when you read it, it just talks about how someone went from being lost and confused to finally finding his place in his home. And I felt that that's what happened to me at Virginia State, because Odyssey is symbolic of a journey, and that's exactly what it was. It was a journey to self-discovery, to manhood, just to my basic roots. It brought me so much closer to my African-American culture, everything that I could have imagined that a university could provide, it did that and more.
All right. Okay. Well, you're being very politically correct right now, man.
Okay. I mean, I can scale it down.
But honestly, I can concur with that. You know what? And I guess as an educator, and I guess when I started teaching, I was teaching in high school, and I've always been a proponent of HBCUs because I went right from Hampton to University of Maryland College Park. And the experience between Hampton and College Park was so markedly different. And what I found out is that I was better prepared because I had professors that cared. I didn't have these big lecture hall classes. I knew everybody in my department. Everybody knew me. And these were thorough professors that made sure that we were on top of our game. And so when I got to graduate school, I found myself gathering quite a few pilgrims together. Oh yeah, I was good for that. Yeah, because
there you go.
Because I'm sitting in a classroom and a girl asked a question. I'll never forget it. We had a black professor, and she asked a question that was so remedial that I had to stop. I was like, wait a minute, baby. I said, check this source, this source, this source. I said, that should have been answered like either freshman or sophomore year. And you're not going to waste my time. You can waste your money, but you won't waste my time. On somewhere with that. And here, you can go look that up on your time. But right now, we're talking about this graduate level course. Thank you.
I've been there.
Yeah, I think we all have.
Yeah, and Dr. Walters was more than appreciative because he couldn't say it to her, but I could. She won't go whoop me.
Yeah, I got you.
Like, girl, Pollyanna, just sit down. So the experience was so different, and even to the point where I ended up mentoring a lot of the African American undergrads that were there at College Park, because they actually paired the grad students with the undergrads. I was like, dang, I said, I feel bad for y'all. I said, because football games are so different in College Park. I don't like, watch the game. Who does that? At an HBCU, who watches the game?
No.
You know what?
I watched halftime. I love the band.
Yeah, you go for halftime.
We were the band.
Yeah, we were the band.
We were the band.
You know, and so it doesn't. Yeah, you're right. It's definitely an experience, and it's something that needs to be talked about, because I have a lot of my colleagues that, you know, I have a colleague now that well, I did have a colleague. He went to Rutgers, and he always has disparaging things to say about HBCUs, and he's really hyped about this PWI. I'm glad that they gave you money and that they took you. But I had to gather him. I was like, well, you know, because, you know, I'm not going to let, you're not going to talk about Hampton University too much. And I'm not going to let that go.
You're right.
Yeah, but he's always trying to give these facts. I was like, where did you get your facts from? Because if Rutgers was the #1 university for all of this stuff in the country, everybody would be trying to go there, right? You know,
right.
Like, stop. Please stop yourself. Like,
well, I know if and I hope both of you go out and purchase my book, because everything that you're talking about right now, I detail in the book. One of the reasons, not just because those were the two schools that I got into, the HBCUs. One of the reasons I wanted to go to a HBCU is that I have an older brother by almost 2 years. He went to Westchester State University in Westchester, Pennsylvania. And when he went, he was a part of the first class of minority students being accepted to the university. And his negative experiences at his university profoundly shaped his life. I would go visit him on campus, and it was like forced isolation between the black students and the white students. They barely looked at each other. It was just a really, really uncomfortable feeling. And my older sister, she went to Johnson C. Smith in Charlotte, North Carolina. And when I would go to her school, as opposed to going to my brother's school, it was like a different world. And I know what I saw at the HBCU, my sister's school, that intrigued me so much. I know myself, I didn't want to go to a PWI and just feel like a token. I wasn't going to allow that to happen to myself.
Well, I tell you, well, first of all, you know, if you went to the HBCU football games and you heard the band, there was a particular song that's particular to most of us at HBCUs, Talking Out the Side of Your Neck, right?
Okay.
Don't you know, I went to a Old Dominion University football game, and their band played Talking. It blew me away.
And how did that
sound? Was it good?
It actually was almost good.
Okay.
It was almost good. It blew me away, man. And let me see. Not only did they play Talking Out the Side of Your Neck, now this was this year. This is 2017. They also played In the Stone.
Okay.
Blew me away. And for those who didn't go to a HBCU, In the Stone is an Earth, Wind, and Fire song. Yeah, you just blown away too, right?
What? Earth, Wind, and Fire? Really? Old Dominion?
Old Dominion. Blew me away, brother.
That's so not Mighty White of them. I'm not really expecting that.
I think that's why the supremacists chose to go to UVA.
Okay, there you go. There you go.
Yo, we got a couple of HBC. Come over here. Come to Georgia Avenue with that foolishness.
Yeah.
I told them, come to Howard Road. Come over to MLK. By the big chicken. Come on over here with that foolishness.
Woo, be a totally different story.
We'll meet you in Southeast.
Be a totally different story.
What? Come on.
But yeah, the experiences that I had when I went to Old Dominion University, which I call Old Dumb and Ugly, but you know, I attended ODU. I received my master's from Regent, and my endorsement in educational leadership from George Washington University. And I have to admit, the experiences that I had at Hampton University truly prepared me for the experiences I had at each one of those organizations, each one of those universities. And I think that HBCUs really do an excellent job of changing the mindset of students, truly changing the mindset of students. You know, one of the things that really impacted me at Hampton is there were these signs everywhere that would say, what do you call a Hampton University graduate 5 years after graduation?
Boss.
Boss.
Wow.
And I mean, just that alone just totally changed my mindset about things. You know, me being a mediocre student, not necessarily reaching for excellence all the time, and not necessarily having the same background experiences that made up my my understanding of the world. It was definitely motivational, inspirational, and pivotal in becoming the type of educator that I am today. So yeah, I appreciate your book, Doc.
Absolutely,
I appreciate that.
Because you're right. I mean, I concur, because you know, you have to. There are a lot of people that just don't understand the value in HBCUs. Like it's a. Someone referred to, once I was in graduate school and I was working, and someone referred to Hampton as a finishing school. Yeah, because they said they were like, you all act the same. Like he's like, because there was somebody else that was working close by. Like we would go to lunch.
Right.
Like, down, tie goes over the shoulder. Like, did they teach you all that?
Okay.
What do you mean? Like, it's just normal everyday behavior. And you know what? There are every HBCU has its own unique character to it. And I found out that, you know, there are certain things that are what they say, you can tell a Morehouse man, but you can't tell him much.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
All right, so what did they say about Norfolk State graduates?
You got me.
I dated a few.
You got me.
I was only there for a year when I got my master's degree, so I probably couldn't speak to that. But hopefully something uplifting.
Let me tell you, everybody that I know, and this is terrible, but all my friends that graduated from Norfolk State, either graduate or undergraduate, you know, I actually had to put that rivalry aside, because, you know, Seiko, you know that beef is real.
Yeah. It's yeah.
It's not like the Hampton Howard beef where, you know.
Nah, we're just both, Hampton Howard, we're just both highfalutin people just trying to act more highfalutin.
Right. But you know, the Norfolk State thing, the Tidewater thing is real serious. But, you know, and I tell people, I'm just glad you got a degree.
That's the thing I hear about Norfolk State. It's easier to get in than it is to get out. And I actually heard about.
I can tell you one thing about HBC. I can tell you one thing about Norfolk State is that their education department is the foundation of so many older African Americans that I've met when I first moved here in '99. It was the place to be for African Americans who wanted to go into the field of education, and it's still very, very strong on both the undergraduate and graduate level, and they take a lot of pride in that. So, yeah, it may not be hard to get in, but you're absolutely correct. It is very difficult to get out.
Believable.
Now, the other thing about NSU is a lot of the white, Asian, Filipino, Hispanic of who don't show their African heritage teachers I've met in Hampton Roads. Many of them received their masters from Norfolk State.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because they can go for free because they're minorities.
Correct.
I don't know if that's necessarily the case.
Well, no, but I mean, for the seriously, at some point, it becomes about economics.
I know it's a lower cost option. Yeah.
It's a lower cost option. And in most cases, a lot of them, think about it, the entire tennis team was on scholarship. Why? Because they weren't black. They're a minority. Think about it. The whole tennis house was on scholarship because they were not black. You know it.
Yeah. Okay. And that was at Hampton. And so the whole tennis team and half of the soccer team.
Yeah. I mean that's a reality. I got my master's from College Park it paid for because I was on an other race grant. Yes, that's what it was called, the other race grant. What was the other race? Anything other than white. You laughing?
That's true.
I'm dead serious.
That's
true. But it worked. It worked out.
My mother was connected through the United Methodist Church. She was connected on the conference level, and she knew somebody who had a financial aid in the graduate school. And she said, go see Dr. Daniels. I was like, okay. And I went to see Dr. Daniels, and he was like, here, son, apply for this other race. Just fill this out. It's for this other race grant. And for my time at Maryland, I was on an other race grant. My college, all my books and everything was paid for.
Okay. The other white meat.
I was content to be that singing Negro in the music department. I don't care, it's paid for.
I got you.
That's fine. Give me what I earned and stop playing before I burn y'all down.
There we go. Yeah, but there's some things that are particular to HBCUs. Interestingly enough, during that time, we all listened to the very same music. So everywhere that we went in the marching band, when we went to Florida State, when we went to Atlanta, when we went to, did we go to Philly?
No, we went to New York.
We went to New York. It was the very same music, and it was a hodgepodge of house music, go-go music, hip-hop music, bass music, R&B music, and of course the gospel music. And I think that's an interesting thing that we all had, no matter where we were in the United States, we had the same ties musically.
Yeah, because you got to think about it. If we're all coming from these different various places and we're all on campus, we bring all of those things with us. And when I tell you, like I said, the experience is second to none. And I always recommend to my students on any level, hey, you know what? If you are melanin rich, I need you to investigate. There are 116. I don't think anybody else is close besides Morris Brown, but because it used to be 117, 116. Pick one. I'm sure somebody has a program that is of interest to you.
Right. Did you know that there's a HBCU that's 80% Caucasian now?
No. And which one would that be?
All right, I'm trying to think. It's Bluefield State.
Oh, in West Virginia.
It is.
Yeah, Bluefield State. Now, in my current employ, I'm the college and career counselor. And I often have parents and students and unfortunately teachers that will say very disparaging things about a HBCU. So, Doc, if somebody came to you and say, why should I attend a HBCU? What are some of your answers?
I would tell them about the small class sizes. I would tell them about the relationships that they build at the school, the professional development opportunities. And one thing that I really push is, and it happened to me and so many HBCU grads that I talked to, just the personal one-on-one attention that you get from your professors, just not just career advice, but just personal advice. In my book, I talk about how my degree was in English, and my academic advisor, he took off work one day in Petersburg and drove me down to the local car dealership and went with me to buy my first car.
Wow.
And I mean, just that one-on-one attention. I didn't know how to drive a stick, and so he drove the car back on campus and showed me how to drive it. Wow. And then, I mean, things like that, you just don't forget. And that's the kind of attention that you get at an HBCU, because it's not just a school. They really treat you like a family.
I concur. You know, I know my mother said something to my department chair, who was probably one of the most prolific African-American composers that's living. She said something to him upon my entry into the university. And I promise you, I got called into his office every day. Every day. I had my own seat in his office every day. Every day. I was like, what did I do now? It's like, my God, like I could, and you know, I didn't have a chance to act a fool because I knew that I was accountable on some level every day. And I, you know, so I just, at some point, I just would just make my way to his office daily, just so I couldn't.
Absolutely.
I know you're going to call me.
Shut up.
Well, I tell you, there are things that I say to those students that kind of echo what you said, Doc. When they ask, should I go to a HBCU? And I always tell them, we need to go to the college that best suits you, that's going to have the programs that you're interested in currently, and that's going to give you the environment that you're going to grow into. And if that HBCU, after you visit it, provides you with that experience, then put that on the top of the list if it belongs to the top of the list. But one of the things I really want people to understand is it's not saying HBCU or a better school. And that's the too often that's the ideology that I can go to a HBCU or maybe I can go to even a better school. The HBCUs and the PWIs are really kind of equal.
Absolutely.
They're really kind of equal. And the only reason I can't say totally equal is because there are going to be some experiences at either the PWI or the HBCU that you're not going to get at the other type of university. So it's kind of equal, but we've come to believe that if it was something that's black, quote unquote black, that it's less than the majority culture. And so a lot of our teachers look at HBCUs as a place that you can go if you can't get in a PWI.
Correct.
And then I've also had people say, well, now that the universities are inclusive and they're accepting everybody, we don't need HBCUs anymore.
Lies. That's garbage. That's pure garbage, because
it is.
They don't provide, PWIs don't provide the nurturing environment that you're going to get in an HBCU. They're not going to foster the sense of community that you get in an HBCU, and they're not going to give you the same type of work ethic. Again, coming from an HBCU going to a PWI, I found myself, you know, the old adage that we have to be 3 times as good to be equal. We have to be 3 times better to be equal. And I found that true, and I found myself better prepared. You know, now tell me this: did you study for your comprehensive exams when you did your master's?
Yes.
Did you?
I did not.
I did not, and I passed them. Because well, I'm gonna tell you why. Because Dr. William Daughtry was one of the hardest music history professors ever to live, and I promise you, she wore my whole entire ass out. Like
okay, there you go.
You couldn't fluff her. You couldn't BS her, and she would tell you, no, that's fluff, and she made you be thorough about your stuff. So that comprehensive exam, it was like an easy Dr. Daughtry exam.
Okay.
So I was like, study? What do I do for this? Seriously, how can you study for that? You know, and I didn't study for it because I was already prepared for it. But my Pilgrim counterparts were cramming and crying and weeping and gnashing of teeth. They were going in.
Right.
Because they weren't.
I know one point I did want to make is that, and I have it in the book, in the mid 20th century, the African Americans who went to college, 90% of them went to HBCUs. 90%. And now, as of 2016 was the last statistic, that 17% of the African American population go to HBCUs.
What's interesting more is I think 70% or more of the judges, doctors, lawyers who are of African descent in America, as of 2010, attended a HBCU. Now things are starting to do a little differently now, but in 2010, 70% of all those high achieving professionals attended a HBCU.
Well, when you talk to professionals, and I have it in the book, they said over 51% of all Black archaeologists, 50% of all Black teachers, 42% of all Black physical scientists, 42% of all Black biologists, and 35% of all computer programmers attended a HBCU. I mean, and when you look at our overall population as African Americans, to have that many professional African Americans get their graduate training at a HBCU is just amazing.
Now, where did you get your statistics?
I went to the National Center for Educational Statistics, and they give a comprehensive survey on Black professionals, and they just talk about the schools that they went to, and that's where those percentages came from.
Okay. Good.
Wow.
Well, what else is in your book that's going to be really intriguing, and who is the market for your book?
I guess I'll first go to the market. So I'm really pitching the book to HBCU grads or individuals who attended an HBCU, and also the high school students who are contemplating going off to college, having HBCU be a viable option for them. So that's my target audience, both of those groups. And, you know, really my selling point is not only myself, but within the book, I purposely made it as contemporary as possible in terms of individuals that, especially young students, would be able to identify with, who actually went to HBCUs, you know, not just your typical Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Spike Lee and Samuel L. Jackson and Jesse Jackson, not just individuals like that, but individuals like Anthony Anderson from Blackish, Wanda Sykes, Ricky Smiley, Stephen A. Smith. Those are individuals, Erykah Badu, individuals like that play prominent roles within my book, because I have specific quotes from them when they were interviewed in various magazines on the influence in their lives. And just about to a man or to a woman, they said that some of the greatest influences on them in their professional career happened because they went to a HBCU.
Okay. What was the answer to the other question?
Give that to me one more time.
All right. So we talked about the market, but what's another reason why somebody should read your book?
They should read the book because they should understand that Historical Black colleges and universities can't be a dying breed. They have to be sustained in the 21st century and beyond, because it's not a passing fad. We will always have individuals within our society that need that one-on-one attention, the nurturing, and especially visible role models who look like them. We will always need universities and colleges to fill that void, and PWIs are not going to do it. You know, even if you go to a small liberal arts PWI, it's not going to give, especially African American students, that connection that an HBCU